Welcome, friends, to yet another episode of Sleep with the Lights On. In today's tales, I will once again be your curator of the curious as we take a peek into a boarding school haunted by phantom footsteps and voices of the long departed. An amateur ghost hunter's skepticism is shattered by an unseen force. And in a Mexican household, a family faces the terror of chaos unleashed by dark magic, culminating in a desperate struggle against a malevolent presence that defies rational explanation. We'll see you on the inside. Man, you have the weirdest gulping sounds of anyone I've ever met. It's like a vibration. It's like as it goes down. And that's probably just your inner demons trying to fight their way out.
Try not to burn my soul as I drink that coffee.
You're a strange person putting in, that's like a water bottle. Why is coffee inside there? You know?
Because convenience, I have a bunch of water bottles. I needed one that I could put coffee in.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Anyway. Should probably get into this. Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Welcome back to Sleep with the Lights On, Volume 18. Sorry as I shuffle around with things in my pocket. Very professional. Christian, how you doing today?
I am fabulous.
Wow.
Or delirious, one of those two.
They could be both. My name is Scott, and I am, as always, your curator of the curious. On this week's episode of Sleep with the Lights On, I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Wet Blanket himself, Christian. And we've got some doozies for you as I work my way around this cable.
Cable.
Classic. Now, let me guess, X-Men reference. Here we go. And it's starting. It's starting already. Is this too low? I can't tell. My headphones are too loud. It's fine.
That's impressive. You went straight to the X-Men reference.
I just know you well enough to know that your references are usually based in the one thing you're obsessed with at the time. You know?
The Hero Myth by Joseph Campbell.
Yes, that's where you're wrong. You're starting things off wrong already. Haven't even gotten into the juicy bits of the episode, and you're already trying to trigger folks on YouTube. Not cool, Christian.
I don't know how that would trigger them.
You can't grasp you know what?
I
Lost cause.
I don't get it.
It's fine. Folks, we're not here to argue Christian's ignorance. We do that plenty on the show every Thursday, wherever you get your podcasts. But today we're going to be diving into 3 interesting stories nonetheless, and I think we should probably just skip all the nonsense and get into it. You know what I mean?
I agree.
What do you think? No? You want more nonsense? Weird choice. Just kidding. This first story is called Ghost Hunter Gets Got.
Great. I like this story already.
Oh, yeah. You're going to love it even more when you find out it's a skeptic. A skeptic ghost hunter is always weird.
I like how I was a skeptic, and then I became a ghost hunter. Now I believe.
Or maybe it just opens my eyes a little when they experience something, as you're about to see in this first story. We'll get your opinion after that, but I think enough shenanigans. Let's get into it. Damn, this is going to bug me. It's fine. It's too loud in my ears, but I'm deaf, so I guess it kind of works.
What?
Huh? Anyway, I'm part of an amateur ghost hunting paranormal investigation group. Trying to laugh. I know I do the same.
That actually sounds kind of fun, though.
Does it, though? I feel like and sorry to get into this so soon into the one sentence into the story, I feel like most of these groups are cringeworthy at best. Like a lot of them, they all look the same. They look like they never went to prom. They're all just kind of huddled around each other in a basement somewhere next to ghost hunting. And it gives off a really bad vibe. I've seen like maybe 1 or 2 ghost hunters that actually look like you'd be like, oh, I'd want to hang out with them.
See, yeah. I just went with the camaraderie.
Yeah, see, that's nice. That's wholesome. Like me and my friends looking for some spirits, you know?
Yeah, like even if you don't find anything and you're running around like a ghost hunter on a reality show, could be fun with your friends.
True. Hey, there you have it. Anyway, sorry to
rant about ghost hunters.
Derailed it immediately.
That's normally my job.
I just have like a weird thing with like ghost hunting, like groups on Facebook and stuff like that, where you're like, oh, there's 15 of you, and y'all go, and y'all got matching t-shirts. Interesting. As you and I sit here with matching hoodies.
Yeah, you're just jealous.
Mine's on the back, though, so you can't tell. Anyway, I'm part of an amateur ghost hunting paranormal investigation group. I'm mainly a skeptic, and my first step is always debunking. Wow, you would be friends with these people. We were investigating at a site that we have been to quite a few times. A private business that was housed in a building that was originally a brothel in the 1800s.
Oh, yeah, it's haunted.
Oh, yeah. The basement of this building was always quite creepy, and you could see the original foundation as well as some tunnels that had been filled in. I was sitting on the top of the steps leading down to the basement. A teammate was sitting at the bottom of the stairs. We were just listening for anything weird and had the recorders going. The area was dimly lit from the electronics going. After some time, something shouted in my right ear in a language I did not understand, and I was grabbed by the neck and pulled downwards. This freaked me out a bit. Just a bit, oh, this is fine, I'm sure.
I'm a skeptic. Nothing's grabbing me.
Must have been my brain this whole time. Anyways, this freaked me out a bit, and I scrambled up the stairs pretty quickly. My teammate WTF'd and asked me what was up. I told him what I experienced. He didn't see or hear anything. There were no animals on site, and no evidence of any being present could be found. I worked third shift, so I couldn't really attribute it to being tired or anything, and this was fairly early on in the investigation anyway. Not outright saying it was a demon or a ghost or something, but I can't readily explain what happened to me. Well, I can. It was a demon or a ghost or something, clearly. Weird experience. I don't know why they were thinking what there are animals on site, like an animal can just grab your neck and pull you downward without being seen. Like they're that stealthy.
Or being heard.
Yeah, some raccoon just hops up on the stairs.
I mean, maybe this person deserved it, but that's a bit extreme for animals.
That's a bit extreme for you, Christian. What do they do to deserve this?
They called it an investigation.
Okay.
Maybe an experience would have been a better word. I'm not sure we have the technology to investigate ghosts yet.
We do. It is vastly overpriced. And it's very simple technology that is vastly overpriced and geared towards ghost hunters. But technology is out there to somewhat tap in, if you will.
I don't know if you can prove that technology works yet.
Well, we can't prove anything, Christian. That's why we're here. Okay, we're here to get answers from people that listen to the show for whatever reason. And they have the answers, and they share the answers with us. And on YouTube, we're like, oh, that's what it was. Interesting.
I actually do like that.
Yeah.
I like to hear the explanations that I can't really grasp with my skeptical way of thinking.
Oh, no. Can't have that.
Not to sound like an amateur ghost hunter there, but...
Yeah, that's what we're in danger of you sounding like.
I always laugh, too, when they throw out that they're a skeptic about stuff, and then they tell us the story.
I know, but to be honest, you do the exact same thing, where you're like, I don't believe any of that shit. But also, at the same time, devil popped up on my floor. I was jumping super high. Dude, about that, and this is not the episode for it, but I'm going to briefly touch on that. You remember you talking about being in the park, jumping sky high or whatever? I found so many stories of kids saying the same thing.
Right.
So many that I'm like, damn, I got to put this into a video or something so we can just read through the list of things and you can compare them to what you experienced. But it was like, a lot of people were saying it was almost like an astral projection thing at a young age where they're like, I jumped in the air and I didn't come down for what felt like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. I was like, oh, that's weird. That's exactly what Christian said. And I kept reading. I was like, damn, this person had the same thing. This person had the same thing.
And it was like I'd been doing it all my life. Mm-hmm. It was like such an easy experience.
Yeah.
Totally in control.
Yeah.
Totally fascinating. Mm-hmm. Not scary at all.
But you don't believe any of it. So, you know.
That one I believe. I believe the astral realm is a thing. It makes sense in my brain.
We had a comment on YouTube, actually, but while I was setting this up, I was reading it and laughing because we had a new listener that had commented, like, I'm fairly new to the show, but is it my understanding that Christian doesn't believe in ghosts or spirits, but believes in the astral realm in which you can see ghosts and spirits and stuff?
You can see something.
Oh my God. See, this is what I deal with. And that's pretty much what I comment on a weekly basis. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this show is just Christian trying to make me lose my mind over the course of the years. And it's, hey, spoiler alert. almost working, you know?
I just don't see that why the things in the astral realm are ghosts or spirits necessarily.
It's okay. We don't have to touch on it in this episode. This is not.
Yeah, that's for another time.
That's another time, indeed.
Comments might help set up that another time.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Anyway, getting into the second story, it's called Locked in the Library, and it's by LaBelle 87.
Patty?
Nope, spelled way differently. Says, I was never a believer in ghosts until I went to boarding school.
Those are demons.
Very true. One night, shortly before 9 p.m., I ran down to the faculty in charge desk to ask if the library was still open because I needed to print something out. Whomever it was said yes, they thought so. I went down towards the library. To get to the library, you had to pass through a set of double doors which were usually open. Once you passed the doors, there was a set of stairs going up to a sun deck and a set going down to what had once been the pool. Beyond the stairs was a brief hallway, then the library. So I walked down towards the library and the double doors were closed. I pulled on one and it's still open, so thinking nothing of it, I continued on to the library. I got to it and it was closed. I turned around and walked back to the double doors and found them locked from the inside. The doors had windows. Forgot to mention that. I figured sooner or later someone would walk down the hall that led to the doors and I could yell to get their attention. I'm standing there watching the hallway for someone for about 10 minutes when I hear the sound of footsteps coming up from the aforementioned pool area. I turn expecting to see someone who can possibly let me out. Then the footsteps go running past me and I heard, quote, "Let's go play on the sun deck." And I can clearly see that no one is there. I started screaming bloody murder and banging on the doors. Someone finally heard me and let me out. I figured everyone would think I was nuts if I told them, so I just said I was afraid because I was locked in. Later in the school year, I found out my school had once been a school for little girls in the late 1800s, and 2 little girls died by falling off the sun deck. Creepy.
I guess
thanks.
That's not the best place to play.
That's one takeaway from the story. Sure, yeah. Why not? Don't play on the sun deck if you're a little girl in the 1800s.
Or a little girl in the, what do they call these now? Like, how do you, like, it used to be, the 1800s, 1700s, 1900s.
Yeah, that is how time progresses, turns out.
But it doesn't flow that much when you're like the
2000s. It's even worse when people start calling the 1990s the late 19th century. And you're like, well, wait a minute now. Hold on. I was a part of that. Back in my day, we called it the 1990s.
You were born in the 1900s.
I was. I'm a relic of the past, if you will.
You sound ancient.
Well, that's because I am. And my back hurts all the time. And that's fine, I guess. That happens with age, is what I hear.
Let's go play on the sun deck.
That'd be a really creepy... I mean, first of all, it's weird that the doors were somewhat locked after you were able to get into it. And what's even weirder, if that was set up by a ghost of some kind, that would be the line that they say as they walk past you. Let's go play on the sun deck.
That just supports the recording of events theory that we talk about all the time.
But it doesn't support the locked door.
Maybe it wasn't locked. Maybe it just felt locked. Maybe it was just panic.
Just like,
so
I can't do it.
It's a boarding school from the 1800s. Maybe their doors don't work that great. Or
that is a possibility, sure.
Also, back in the day, sometimes their locks were on the wrong side of the door, unless you were trying to lock the kids into an area.
Which is understandable sometimes, you know?
But frowned upon in modern times because...
That is also very true. Yeah, don't do that.
Because back in the 1800s, kids would just go play on a dangerous sun deck and fall off and become ghosts.
It's a tale as old as time, really. You know?
This isn't new.
This isn't new. You're absolutely right. Folks, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Really? 5 seconds? Okay. No, it's fine. We don't got bills to pay or anything here. It's cool. I guess we should probably get into this third story now that we've got impatient viewers. I feel rushed. This is a good one. The other 2 sucked. No, I'm just kidding. This one's great, though. Christian's going to get a kick out of it. It's called Yes, of Course, Real Magic. And it's by Dan Man 1396. Dan Man. Oh. No, it's fine. That's
What is that from?
So it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia reference, but instead of Day Man, I changed it to Dan Man.
Isn't there a cartoon from like the 80s or something that has that like kind of same tone? Anyway, move it right along.
Christian, I was born in 1990.
I feel like it was He-Man or something like that.
Wow. Okay. It says, when I arrived in Mexico, I was about 11 or 12 years old. I went to live with my aunt for a few years in a big, nice 2-story, 3-bedroom house. Let's say my aunt got on a few people's bad side, and those people were fans of witchcraft, black magic, and all that stuff that tries to find logical explanations for occurrences. Classic. Anyway, my aunt and her husband left for a small vacation to Mazatlan. Wow. How did I put an N before the Z?
I don't know, man.
What'd you call it?
Mazatlan.
Nailed it. Leaving just me and my 2 cousins in the house. One morning, we found a black rooster dead outside the house. We didn't think much of it and just cleaned it up and got back to business. That night, we heard the front door bust open. It was a heavy door with metal frames. You'd probably need some tools to bust that baby open. My female cousin, 12, whom we'll call AC, came crying into my male cousin's room, who was 9, whom we'll call JC. Being the oldest man-child in the house, I took it upon myself to check what's going on. So I led a scout down the stairs to see what was happening. If you angle just right from the stairs, you can see straight to the front door, which was intact. Well, the moment I reached the ground floor, all the lights went out. The kitchen cabinets started shaking, opening and closing, slamming shut. We ran back to JC's room and shut the door, barricading it with what we had. A few dressers, laundry baskets, a 2x4. What's that doing in the room?
Kids are building stuff.
We started hearing someone running up the stairs, scratching the door, going into AC's room. We had pretty thick walls, and hearing how something sniffed the room and tore it apart. The lights came back on, AC was crying her ass off, and JC was paralyzed by fear. The temperature became very chilling, and you could taste the tension. I was so pale, we decided to play Halo 3 to try to drown out the noise. That's the move, you know? Master Chief, why not? We turned on the TV, which turned off a few times, but after a while it started working. We must have passed out, but when we awoke the next morning, my aunt had already arrived and had people checking the house. We moved out and went to my grandma's, which has a few stories to tell about some good scares and some legends about the house. A few weeks later, I overheard my aunt saying something about a portal in her bedroom that was welcoming something. I think they took a priest to clean the place, and that's about it.
I hate when a portal opens up.
You know what probably happened? Bad mirror placement. We found that out a while back on our mirror episode.
I feel like I've heard somebody else talking about mirrors lately, too.
Michael Jackson?
There was a man in his mirror.
That happens. There's a man in my mirror whenever I look at it, too.
Is it a man, though?
It's a pretty chiseled man. Great looking dude. Yeah.
That explains a lot.
I bet it does. What a weird story. What do you think, Christian? Definitely not witchcraft, right?
Earthquake.
Wow.
It's funny. It's
Christian.
like this guy goes down to Mexico, and all of a sudden...
No, they live in Mexico.
Wherever he went, he's like, all of a sudden, I'm around all these witch doctors type of thing.
Wow, your story fell apart really quick when you found out they lived there, though, right? A little bit?
No. Still the same thing.
Clinging on to it.
It was funny the way he explained, like, how they try to make sense out of normal happenings. I'm like, that's also religion, kind of.
Oh, my God, here we go.
It's just, so I'm like, is he dissing them, or is he... I guess we need more context, because it was just a weird line to be in there. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Some people try to punch up their vocabulary and phrasing to sound smarter than they actually are. You may notice that in the monologues every now and then.
We used to do that when I was in high school on the baseball team. We'd be sitting in the dugout just talking on the boring days. And I had a friend that would just act like he read the whole dictionary, and they would just make themselves sound like idiots.
Wow. The inverse effect of what you're going for. So let me get this straight. I just want to paint a scene for our listeners before we take off. You believe that it is an earthquake that made the sound of the door busting in, made all the cabinets slam open and shut, made something run up the stairs, start scratching the door, go into the room, sniff around the door.
That's different. That's a separate entity that came out of the portal.
Okay, so you're saying there was an earthquake, obviously.
Probably caused by the opening of the portal.
That happens, yeah, clearly. This checks out.
It may not be an earthquake, but it feels like it. When you open a portal, that's a pretty big deal.
Can you see why people that listen to this show might be enraged while listening? Because they can't talk to you directly and be like, Christian, no, dude, no. They have to just listen, just sit there and listen to you be like, okay, what's this guy saying now?
So other people out in the world understand or believe that their portal experiences are different than mine, and theirs are more acceptable than my portal experiences. I mean, why a portal is a pretty powerful opening, so it could affect things.
Wow. Would you look at that?
I mean, whenever you hear a portal story, there's some kind of weird stuff going on in the area.
That is, it tends to be the case.
What causes it?
Well, we can rest assured that it's most likely not an earthquake, but
it might feel like an earthquake, though.
Sure, why not?
Especially when you're a kid. Could you imagine, kids without the context of earthquakes that might experience one? I wonder how their mind would frame that. That would be a terrifying experience for a kid.
You would think. Apparently my first experience with an earthquake, my parents came into my room to find me laughing. Just having a grand old time with that.
I slept through my first big earthquake, which was, I think it's the Silmar quake. It's pretty bad, I guess.
I guess. No, you're sleeping,
But then the one in the 90s was that was a pretty strong quake. You remember that one?
That was probably the one I was laughing.
Oh, yeah, because you were young, because China was young.
That checks out. That's how time once again progresses, yes.
Does it, though? That's another episode.
That is another episode. We're not going to get into that. Christian, what story did you enjoy the most out of these three? Please be detailed in your explanations.
I enjoyed the portal banter, but I let's go play on the sun deck. That one had the I don't know if fun is the right word, the old school fun type.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, the old school fun type of haunting or
being locked in a library. Nothing quite like it if you haven't had a chance to experience it for yourself. Get out there.
No, the voice is just saying a random thing. Let's go play on a sun deck.
Yeah.
That's, we've heard
Unless
stories.
There's a threat to that guy. Let's go play on the sun deck, huh? Throw you right off, pal.
I never thought of it that way.
Of course you didn't. Yeah, of course you didn't,
Wrong portal in that one.
Oh, okay.
What was your favorite?
Of course, the witchcraft one, because witchcraft is real.
Is it?
It is. Yeah, it is. Hey, guys, I'm tired of convincing people that it's real. It's real. Look up all the stories of witchcraft being used in the world. All of them. Every single one. And I guarantee by the end of that, you're going to be like, maybe this shit's real, man.
I've read a lot of those stories.
So you just think they're fabricated? Like people just make this stuff up for no reason whatsoever?
I think if you believe a witch can curse you.
Oh, God. You're halfway there, friend.
You are able to be cursed.
I have been watching, this is way off topic, and I'm sorry for that. I've been watching videos from way back in the day. It seems probably early 90s, way back in the day. And it's this old preacher dude that is going off on how you can tell what demons are or their characteristics and all this stuff. He talks about witchcraft and the carnal body and all this stuff. I'm like, this is fascinating stuff because you don't really hear someone break it down like this. These days, people are just like, that's demonic. How dare you can't do it. But this dude, legitimately an older gentleman, of course, right?
Who was a perpetrator of the satanic panic.
Christian, you suck the fun out of everything, man. It's you're just and then it's okay, well, I guess that's not fun anymore.
It wasn't fun. That was a hard time to live in.
I doubt it. You seem like you're okay.
People were persecuted. I didn't worship Satan, so I didn't have to worry about those priests coming after me.
You didn't worship Satan with your heart.
Not even in my mind.
It's not about worshiping Satan. It's about worshiping yourself. You know what I mean? That's where the evil lies. It's not Satan. It's not Satan. that's beside the point. Give us your thoughts on witchcraft. What do you think? Is this real? Can you curse someone? Can you put hexes on someone?
Maybe.
I've had plenty of personal experiences of my own, not being cursed or hexed, thankfully, to my knowledge, but I have people close to me that have experienced some pretty creepy stuff at the hands of witchcraft. So me, I believe it. Christian over here shakes his head no constantly, which is a theme of the show if you've been watching for a while, but we'll get him at some point. Actually, if you have proof, you can't have proof with this guy. It's impossible.
If your family has burned witches, please reach out to us.
Not what I was going to say. If you have experienced some kind of witchcraft in your own life, comment it below. That's the one thing that gets Christian is people that are like, we're one part removed from our listeners. So if you listeners have had an experience like this, it's not some random story we found online. It's you experiencing it and sharing it with us. And Christian's at least a little easier on you at that point. These people, he has no idea who these are. He'll roast them to high heaven, you know? But he likes you.
I've experienced witchcraft.
I'm experiencing witchcraft right now.
Tabitha Stevens. She was a witch.
Okay. Well, that feels like the great place to end it, so I'm going to do that. Comment below your favorite story from today's episode. Be sure to subscribe for fresh episodes of Sleep with the Lights On every other Friday. We are currently in the works of pre-producing a couple new shows, too, so we're going to be dropping some information on those in the future, and some shows aren't even going to be paranormal. We're working on a bunch of different stuff. We're just kind of branch out into all things weird, and turns out a lot of that isn't paranormal, just strange. You know what I mean?
It's very strange. People are strange.
We're going to get out of here. You get out of here too, because it'd be weird if you stuck around after the video ended, unless you want to watch one of the other videos that pops up. You know what I mean? It's good times. Remember, friends, find us on social media at Freaky Deaky Pod, wherever you're at. Send in your personal stories to be considered for an episode of Sleep with the Lights On, or our freaky listener stories that come out occasionally on the podcast that drops every single Thursday, wherever you get your spooky ghost podcasts. And sleep with the lights on, because you never know what is lurking in the shadows. Ooh. Goodbye.
Be scared.